Hey Nick, thanks for that response. I didn't go back to read the comments exactly, so it's not exactly fresh in my memory. But I don't remember saying that it can only be one or the other, spiritual or mechanical. I have been saying lately that it's either organic or mechanical, or that those are the two great myths of, Chinese civilization and culture tends to see the universe and always has tended to see the universe as an organism. Um, Western Judeo-Christian culture and thought has tended to see the universe as a machine. Back when we still believed in God, the universe was a machine with a spirit. So then it was both at once. Since God has died in the West, it's only a machine. And we sort of pretend like there's this thing called human intelligence that operates the machine that only humans have. Like it's basically the same thing that Descartes said that animals and nature doesn't have a soul. Only man has a soul, and only man can think about the world rationally. So we have this gift, this magical gift of rationality, and this is the whole driving force behind the Enlightenment, and it's alive today, and well, it seems with stuff like objectivism and Ayn Randianism, or materialism, um, positivism. These types of philosophies see the world as basically dead matter that's just acting randomly, but there is this will to power, possibly. Nietzsche, they say he's the culmination of Western metaphysics, or he put metaphysics to rest forever in the West, which basically means, well, among other things, he killed Christianity, or got rid of the possibility of there being a God. I mean, emotionally, at least. And so we were left only with the material world after that, as far as Nietzsche was concerned. He saw modern science as being, you know, the only source of truth. Or not truth necessarily, but um, that was our only guiding light, maybe. But that we should use it. We should use our knowledge to gain power. And this is and this all has to be based on the idea that we are all inherently separate, which this is a Western metaphysic that maybe hasn't yet been tossed out, which is the ego. We still think that there is this rational intelligence inside here. Um, I think it was Michel Foucault who said that man is dead, basically echoing what Nietzsche said about God, that there's no way to support that type of metaphysical belief anymore. Well, there's no way to support the metaphysical belief that there's a mind in here, or an I, or an ego, or a me. But when we talk about the universe as an organism, that's okay. There's no I here, granted. But the world out there doesn't have an I either. It doesn't have any substance. It's all form, because it is related to us. If there was any such thing as substance, it would be what the mind is, because the substance is the weight, it's the feeling, the gravity, the real intensity of experience, which would be characterized, which would characterize well the inner experience that we have, right? So if we see the world and the universe as an organism, basically we exist as a relationship, as one body. And this is what all the mystics talk about, especially in Christianity. Christ is the body of the cosmos, and we are all sons of God. And it's a very liberating idea and feeling on one hand, and it's a very um, modest and reserved and content realization on the opposite hand, because it's like we're not. It's not like you're transcending the laws of cause and effect, or the laws of the universe, and becoming somehow special. You're just becoming one with those laws. You're recognizing what goes on here, and you're just becoming a part of that goings on and not worrying about what you should be doing or shouldn't be doing. So I guess I'm not really sure why you thought I would say that there was this staunch separation between a mechanical universe and a spiritual universe. I would say there's a difference between a mechanical universe and an organic universe. And I would also say that most of our science now, complexity science and quantum physics, and what they're showing us is that it's not a machine. That it is, there's something going on here that is so connected to what we think we are, to us, to our feeling of aliveness and consciousness, that it can't just be in here. It's got to be a part of our world, and we just receive it, maybe, like Sheldrake says. And because we really have no evidence to support the idea that the brain creates consciousness. Because then if we say that, all of a sudden we have this huge philosophical problem, because there's a globule of consciousness floating around in here somehow. And, one in your brain and one in everybody else's brain. And what is that all about? How does consciousness happen? And, some philosophers and neuroscientists just say it doesn't. I don't know if you're familiar with Paul and Patricia Churchland, but they basically say that. They're neuroscientists, and they say, no, all we have to do is map the neural structures of the brain and label them as to what their function is based on, when you stimulate it, what does it make the person do, feel, taste, whatever. You label that, and that label becomes the objective reality of what that brain state is. And there's no such thing anymore as the conscious experiential state. Or at least science doesn't need to see it as existing. It just becomes this folk psychology or subjective, whimsical belief that people have that they actually exist, which sometimes I think it might come off like you were trying to say, Nick, when you say that, you're just a brain. But I don't think that's what you're really getting at, though. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening. Let me know what you think.